Start my presentation. So thank you everyone for joining the wellness workshop. This is the second one that we've done. This is November's wellness workshop. And this month we chose to stick around a theme of gratitude. So that's what we will be talking about today. And I'll give some information, but at first I would really just like it to be more of a discussion and a conversation. And so go ahead with the next slide, Shelby. I just thought we could start off with a connection builder. I'm not sure, Shelby, if everyone can annotate, but feel free to type your answers in the chat or unmute and share your answer. But for our connection builder, I just wanted to ask, what is something that you're grateful for today? And I'm trying to encourage you all to think not so generally, but just specifically something about today or something that came up today for you or something that happened today. Whatever resonates with you, just presently, as opposed to like a broad general topic. And I can go first. Today I am especially grateful for my team and Shelby in particular. I wasn't feeling that great this morning, and we were able to be flexible with our plans, and I was thankful that I got to work from home today and communicate with my team and for our teamwork. My window is really small, so I can't quite see the annotation that just popped up. Let me see if I can expand this.
Sorry, that was me, and I accidentally hit enter before I finished typing.
Oh, I do that all the time with annotations. You can just go ahead and shout out what you said if you want.
I was just gonna say flexibility as you were saying it, because today we had some teams moving around, situation stuff between two rooms, so it was really, appreciate my team and the team across the hall and the flexibility.
Awesome. Let's see, someone else said laughter. That's awesome. That's so important. I just saw that more people joined. Hi, everyone. I just want to let everyone know that we are recording this workshop, except for the parts where we're sharing out more of our personal answers and whatnot. And right now we're just starting with the connection builder. So what is something that you're grateful for today? Chris is thankful that it is a blustery day. Liking the weather, that it's sunny and brisk. I love that too. That's one of my favorite parts about like fall and getting into winter, is the days that are nice and cool, but also bright and sunny. That's a good one. Let's see. Having a hard time seeing the annotations. Sunshine, laughter, flexibility. Going on, I'm not sure if that wasn't completed, but awesome. Anyone else have anything they want to share that they're grateful for today? Your son joining you on your afternoon walk. You're always feeling grateful when your kids want to spend time with you. That is super sweet. I don't have my own kids, but I do have a niece and nephew, and I do feel really grateful when they are excited to hang out with me. So I can relate to that. And I see more annotations popping up. Let me just expand this in. They're older teens. Yeah, that happens. I think as kids get older, it starts to feel like they want less and less to do with their parents sometimes. So that's extra special. Going for walks when your team would join you. The fall colors on the trees, that's a good one. Just in general, living in Oregon. Anything else specifically about today, something that happened or something that you just had a real moment where you felt grateful for something?
The living in Oregon one is specific to today, because I just came back from Texas and I'm happy to be back in Oregon. So it really is today specific.
If I knew that was your comment, I would probably have put that context together, but I couldn't see.
Yeah, I know. I realize it is general, but like when you go to another place and you're like, oh, I'm so glad I don't live there.
Yeah, that's a very real thing that I experience as well when I travel sometimes. Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing. I think we can move on to the next slide. I have more questions to kind of throw at you, just kind of general reflection questions. So I'll read them through, and if anyone has anything to share or answer, this is kind of just the part where we're just going to have more of a discussion. Since this is not a training, it's more of a workshop. I do have some information to share after this, like I said before, but that part will be kind of brief. So I wanted to spend some time with just reflecting and sharing with one another. My first question is, how do you feel when you practice noticing things that you're grateful for? And to elaborate, I put little side questions over there, like, do you notice any sensations in your body, or do you notice a shift in your perspective? What are the things that typically come up for you every time you're asked to name something that you're grateful for? Like, do you notice themes in how you respond or things that you are grateful for? I kind of feel like we all mostly have a lot in common that we might answer that we're grateful for, like waking up today in general, our family and our friends or our pets. But kind of what I was hinting at with the specificity of the connection builder is, have you practiced noticing even more specific things unique to your own situation in that moment that you're grateful for when it comes up for you? And do you feel that practicing gratitude is important for mental health and well-being, and why or why not? So we can pause the recording here and just let everyone kind of openly share and answer questions. I'm going to expand the window a little bit more. And we're recording again, so I can go ahead with the listing some benefits of gratitude. There are a lot of benefits to gratitude, so I will try to keep it kind of streamlined, and I tried to kind of categorize them. But first, I just want to share that there is, I guess we didn't really talk about that last question about whether we feel it's important for mental health and well-being or not, but the sense I gathered is that we do feel like it's important for our health and well-being. And so before I go into the benefits, I actually wanted to elaborate a little bit on some of the research that has been done to show that connection and that correlation. Psychologists at the University of California and the University of Miami have shown that there's a direct association between gratitude and well-being. In one study, they asked everyone to write a few sentences each week, focusing on particular topics. One group wrote about things they were grateful for that had occurred during the week. And then a second group wrote about daily irritations or things that had displeased them. And then the third control group just wrote about things that had affected them, with no emphasis on whether it was positive or negative. And after 10 weeks, those who wrote about gratitude were more optimistic and felt better about their lives overall. And surprisingly, they also exercised more and had fewer visits to doctors than those who focused on the aggravations. So that kind of goes with what Chris was saying about feeling more productive and energetic. You might be more inclined to exercise or cook or do other things that also benefit your health. Another researcher from the University of Pennsylvania tested the impact of positive psychology interventions on a group of 411 people, and they compared each of those with a control assignment about writing, just in general, about early childhood memories. When the group's assignments were to write and personally deliver letters of gratitude to someone, the participants immediately exhibited a huge increase in happiness scores. And this impact was greater than any other intervention from positive psychology, and the benefits lasted for a month at least. And then there's other studies that have shown how being grateful can improve relationships. One study of couples found that individuals who took more time to express gratitude for their partner not only felt more positive towards one another, but also felt more comfortable expressing their concerns with one another. And of course, studies like these cannot prove cause and effect, but most of the studies published on this topic do support the concept that gratitude is correlated with our well-being. And so in this slide, I wanted to talk about the different benefits, which kind of can be categorized as social emotional health, sleep, let's see, I'm trying to get my notes together, self-esteem, and physical health. And so we kind of mentioned some of this in those research studies that I mentioned, but how gratitude can help with your social emotional health is, that's probably one of the bigger categories, I would say. But not only does saying thank you like kind of constitute good manners with other people, but showing your appreciation for others can actually gain, can help you gain new connections and new friends, and like gain kind of a closer relationship with other folks. There was a study that found that thanking a new acquaintance makes them more likely to seek an ongoing relationship. So whether you're thanking a stranger for holding the door, or sending a thank you note to a colleague that helped you out, or acknowledging other people's contributions, all those things can kind of lead to new opportunities just because of the social connection that it brings. Another study found that evidence that supports that expressing gratitude to our significant others, again, improves quality in the relationship and helps us feel good, helps them feel good, and kind of just benefits the relationship overall. And in general, gratitude reduces a multitude of toxic emotions or negative emotions, from depression to envy and resentment or frustration or regret. And there's been studies that even show that grateful people also experience more sensitivity and empathy towards other folks, and a decreased desire to seek revenge when they've been wronged, or when they've been given negative feedback. There's less of that resentment kind of that builds up. So it not only reduces stress, but it also plays a major role in overcoming trauma, as well as it fosters resilience within us. And these social emotional health benefits even extend to our financial well-being and our professional well-being, because those that are more grateful than others also have less impatience during economic decision making. So they're more thoughtful about their decisions, and they have less pressure from the desire for short-term gratification. And then those who find meaning and purpose in their work, like Chris was saying, are often more effective with their job and feel more fulfilled in their career. So gratitude is another factor that can help people find meaning in their job, along with, applying their strengths, positive emotions and flow, finding a calling, those kinds of things. Next, it can also improve your sleep. So it was found in a study that practicing gratitude, particularly having a gratitude journal that you maybe write in before bed, can help improve your sleep, which then can also improve your mood. And that kind of begins that cycle. It can improve your self-esteem. So it also reduces social comparisons between yourself and others. And rather than becoming resentful, like we mentioned, towards people who have more money or better jobs, for example, or so just anything that you feel like you are lacking and someone else has, instead of kind of feeling resentful towards that or focusing on that, gratitude can be a major factor in reducing that, those negative comparisons, and being grateful for your own accomplishments and the things that you have. And then finally, it also can improve your physical health. So as we know, there's a psychosomatic component to our thoughts and our brains and our bodies. There's a connection there between kind of how we're doing mentally and then how we're doing physically. They impact each other. And so research shows that when we think about something or someone that we truly appreciate, our brains and our bodies can calm themselves. And the feelings that come with gratitude trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's the calming part of our autonomic nervous system. And grateful people experience fewer aches and pains, and they report feeling healthier and healthier than other folks, I guess, in the studies that they've done. And then, not surprisingly, grateful people are also more likely to take care of their health in general. Plus, if it helps you sleep, that's improving your immune system, helping you recover, helping your mood, all that kind of stuff. So it does just kind of continue that positive cycle. It also lowers blood pressure, and just in general can increase your health. So how does something that seems so simple actually elicit such a variety of benefits for us? That's kind of what I want to get into next, but go ahead with the next slide. First, this visual just kind of simplifies our list. On the next slide, they even simplified it, the researchers who came up with this visual simplified it even further into just 3 categories. So psychological, physical, and social benefits. I think we just kind of covered all of these. I don't think I might have, I did mention the stronger immune system. Let's see, optimum blood pressure, feeling more aware and awake, and just having more communication and more empathy or better communication, more likability among group members, those kinds of things. So those are just kind of a more succinct list of the different benefits. And on the next slide, I did want to kind of touch on the neuropsychological reasons why gratitude helps us in all the ways that we've talked about. And so, the effects of gratitude when we practice it daily can actually also be almost the same as medications. Some researchers have called it like a natural antidepressant. It produces a feeling of long-lasting happiness and contentment, and that the physiological basis of which lies at that neurotransmitter level. So we can see here that practicing gratitude at the top there, it says it wires and fires new neural connections to the bliss center of the brain. So it strengthens those pathways to the center of our brain that feels pleasure and those happy and positive feelings. And then if you go clockwise to the right side, it says it enhances dopamine and serotonin, which are the neurotransmitters that are responsible for happiness. The molecule up at the top is the dopamine molecule, and then the one at the bottom is serotonin. It also reduces fear and anxiety by reducing or regulating the stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. And it also fosters cognitive restructuring by evoking positive thinking. So we kind of mentioned that, like how on hard days, especially, it's helpful to practice gratitude, because then it kind of starts this new cycle all over again, starting at the top where it wires those connections even stronger. So when we express gratitude and we receive it as well, our brain releases those neurotransmitters, and they make us feel good immediately, and it makes us feel happy kind of from the inside out, and that kind of just spreads. So by consciously practicing gratitude every day, we can practice these, wiring and firing these neural pathways and strengthening them until it's kind of just like a permanent and constant, not state, but like an automatic process within ourselves. And on the next slide, if anyone has any questions at any time, or if you want to make a comment, feel free to unmute or share it in the chat. I'm just kind of zooming through. We only have a couple more slides of some information, and I'll get to some strategies at the end about how to practice gratitude. But this is just another visual of the benefits. Again, this is overly simplified, but practicing gratitude can lead to optimism, selflessness, spirituality, empathy, and self-esteem, which then can lead to true happiness. But I would like to say it kind of leads to increased positive experiences or emotions, since happiness is more of just a temporary feeling as opposed to like a constant state that we should strive to be in. But there's that visual just to help also solidify kind of what the benefits include. And on the next slide, I wanted to kind of go into some reasons why gratitude can be contagious. And when we put together these two different concepts, it kind of just makes a lot of sense that what we put out is what we get back. So other than simply the benefits that being kind and gracious to others have on them and on our mood, we know that 93% of communication is nonverbal, and all behavior is communication. And we also know that humans have a certain type of brain cell called mirror neurons. And these neurons are responsible for mirroring and matching other people's behavior to kind of show that we're on their side, we're not a threat. It kind of gains that social connection and that social belonging that we all need. So to put it simply, mirroring is matching someone's behavior, whether it's their voice, their words, or their nonverbal cues, such as their gestures, facial expressions, body movements, or body posture. And then a body language expert named Tanya Raymond even suggests that when there's two people of the same gender, you can even experience matching each other's pitch, tone, blink rate, like the frequency that you blink, and your breathing rate. So that's really interesting that we really are more perceptive to each other than we even realize. And so when we practice that gratitude and we just have that positivity about us, it's much more, it's contagious because people reflect that back to us, and it kind of just catches on. And on the next slide, I wanted to connect this to gratitude to growth mindsets versus fixed mindsets. This is just another concept in positive psychology. And I'm sure we all kind of have heard of this. Oh, Chris, I see your hand. Before I continue, I'll let you. Oh, you're muted.
I was just going to say about the mirror neurons. My best friend and I used to work together in the same classroom. And when one of us was in a bad mood, look out.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we could bring the mood of the whole school down, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were so connected to each other.
And plus our kids feel that, like the kids that we're working with, if we're in the classroom, or just our family members, people around us, anyone can pick up on those things, even if it's not super obvious. Sometimes it's very clear someone's in a bad mood. And then there's other times that they're trying to suppress it, but we can still sense that in their tone, or their pitch of their voice or their body language. So sometimes it can be really subtle. And I think about this as well when we're working with families, like if a parent is feeling a little defensive about something, or if a parent is feeling, maybe a little frustrated, if we start to get into that reaction mode instead of our responding mode, we can then start to reflect that back. And then it just doesn't foster a positive working relationship at all. So I think that's a really good point as well about how we can apply this and the benefits to our work,
Yeah. McKenna, I was going to share an analogy that I used with some of my colleagues. when situations come up, we talked about being a thermostat instead of a thermometer. So if you think about how a thermostat works versus a thermometer, you know, if the thermometer is going up, you're not just going up with it. Or if the person's temperature is going up, you're not the thermometer going up with them. You're a thermostat. So if things are heating up, you're kicking on to cool things down, or vice versa. If things are cold, you're kicking on to heat things up a little bit. So if someone's
I
like
love that.
really low energy or whatever, you know, you can kind of bring some enjoyment to it, and vice versa. If someone is like really agitated, you can kind of bring some calm. And I like that analogy a lot. It helps me remember.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of explain the difference between the two. You know, the difference between responding and reacting. That's exactly what a thermostat would do, is respond to the temperature around it and then, you know, regulate that, versus reacting is just kind of, like we said, mirroring and kind of amplifying and stacking things on top of each other until it just gets higher and higher. So I like that a lot. That's awesome. Anyone else have any questions or anything to share before we get into the growth mindset stuff? I appreciate you all sharing. Thank you so much. I was just going to say that I'm sure that we have all kind of heard of the growth mindset versus fixed mindset as educators, especially. But I just wanted to give a brief definition. Growth mindset means that the individual will view intelligence, abilities, and talents as learnable and themselves as capable of improvement through effort. Whereas a fixed mentality means, or mindset means, that those same traits are viewed as inherently stable and unchangeable over time. And so since gratitude fosters that optimism and positive thinking, it's just a lot more aligned with that growth mindset. And it really shapes kind of how you view the world and your experiences. Because when you have a fixed mindset, it's much easier to feel resentful and pessimistic or stuck, and feeling powerless, or like your situation will never change or improve. Those things are really, you know, negative aspects that we sometimes focus on, because humans have this innate kind of drive to assess and compare. And so we just kind of are always focused on assessing our level of happiness with what we have and what we're experiencing with someone else. And that comparison can be really hard to get through if we're having that fixed mindset. So, you know, fixed mindsets and pessimistic thinking would all cause the opposite effects of gratitude that we mentioned. So the effects of gratitude being, you know, better sleep, better health, improved self-esteem, and a flourishing social emotional state, you know. So that's just one other thing to keep in mind, one other connection to make. And on the next slide, these are just 4 ways to cultivate gratitude in your everyday life. These are things that we can do as a daily practice, or something that we do weekly, just, you know, something more regular. And one of them is something that we mentioned before, which is writing thank you notes. You can make yourself happier and nurture your relationships with other people by writing them a thank you letter, or just a little tiny thank you note, or even an email that expresses your enjoyment and appreciation of that person's impact on your life or on your day. And you don't even have to share it with them if you don't want to. You could just write these for yourself, depending on, you know, your relationship with that person, or it could just be part of your journaling practice. But if you send it to them or deliver it to them in person, if possible, the impact can be that much greater. You can keep a gratitude journal, which we also have mentioned, making it a daily habit to write down or share with a loved one thoughts about positives that you notice each day. Or you can even once in a while write a thank you note to yourself in your gratitude journal, thanking your body or yourself, and just things that you've done for yourself and the ways that you've shown up for yourself. That's another great self-care and self-love type of exercise. And there's been research that actually backs this up, that simply journaling for 5 minutes a day about what we're grateful for can enhance our long-term happiness by over 10%, based on one of the studies that I've referenced. I have my references in my notes here, but I didn't include them on the slides. Another strategy is to give others appreciation more often in the moment. So this is something that I mentioned I'm trying to do more when I kind of just feel grateful or thankful, but also just trying to notice opportunities to extend that appreciation to others, and doing it in a way that's more detailed than just saying, hey, thank you for doing that, or thanks. You know, elaborating on that and kind of giving them more of an example of why you appreciate them or why you appreciate what they did. It can create more of that ripple effect when you express that appreciation or give others kudos in a team meeting, for example. Those warm, fuzzy feelings definitely can become contagious, and employing gratitude at work can have a significant impact on staff's mental health, stress, and turnover. So it really helps with preventing burnout, improving teaming, that kind of thing. And then another strategy is to find a gratitude buddy. This is something that you could do maybe with your spouse or your kid or a friend. If you set aside just a few minutes every day where you talk together, maybe sit together and discuss the things that you're thankful for that day, asking each other questions to open up a more, informal dialogue, and just sharing thoughts of gratefulness with someone is a great way to sustain that motivation to strengthen those skills and keep practicing it on a daily basis. Kind of holds you accountable too if someone's expecting to check in with you. So does anyone else have any strategies that they want to share or add, or any comments about these ones or questions so far? Up next, I'll share a tool for journaling, but then that's pretty much everything for today. So, I mean, the rest of the time that we have together, we could spend chatting if you want to stay on. But go ahead, Shelby, with the next slide, because I will send an email out at the end of the presentation or today or tomorrow with the resources that we have for gratitude and just different infographics, things like that. But this is an example of a daily gratitude journal. It's something that is just a very simple template. You could either print these out or make it a fillable form, and then you could, type into it daily, or you could just use a journal that you have and use these as prompts. But I really like how it's kind of, it encompasses a few different aspects of gratitude. So first you would write an affirmation for that day, and then 3 things that you're grateful for. And then some of these are kind of framed, maybe something that you would answer in the morning and something you would answer later on, like the 3 good things that happened today. And those are different than the things that you're grateful for. I think there's an important distinction there too. You can come up with 3 things that you're grateful for today, but also just 3 good things that actually happened to you that day. And then there's also a line for your favorite moment of the day and something that you look forward to tomorrow. And as we mentioned earlier, that there are those benefits to journaling, gratitude journaling right before bed. So if this was something that you did at the end of the night, it could potentially, improve your sleep. Especially if you followed this up with like sending someone a thank you text or writing a thank you note that you're going to give them or something like that. That could just even make it more of a stronger practice. But this is just one idea, one way to journal. And so we could even take some time right now if we want to like write these out ourselves, or you can think about it. But on the next slide, I just wanted to ask if anyone has any questions or comments, and just kind of end the slideshow with saying that, gratitude is a way for people to appreciate what they have instead of always searching for something new in hopes that we'll be happier if this happens, or happier when I get this, or, I just need this to happen and then I'll be happy. Gratitude just really helps us stay present in the moment and helps us prevent ourselves from getting caught up in thinking that we can't feel satisfied until every single physical or material need is met. And it really helps us refocus on what we have instead of what we lack. And even though it might kind of feel like a contrived practice at first, this mental state really grows stronger with use and practice. And it's a really great way to kind of start your self-care, self-love journey and kind of just expand on it if you already are on that journey. And I like this little quote, "Smile and the world smiles with you." I think that that's kind of encompasses what we've talked about, how we reflect others and they reflect us. And the last slide is just a little thank you slide, and just mentioning that you can reach out to me or my team with any questions, and that I'll share the journal template and any other infographics or anything else that we have for resources. So we can just either sit on the slide with the journal template and use that now, or we can chat